The S&P 500, the Nasdaq 100, Fed rate hikes, and a pivot. The real question is where are we going from here? Now, we're going to look at some pretty big aspects here on the NQ and the S&P, but I want to highlight right now. If you're looking at the market the next week, give or take, really this week and next week, I expect significant lower volume, and we're already seeing it right now. And this is primarily just because it's a holiday. I want people to realize what's happening. And we had OPEX this week, and then we have more expirations every single day next week. So I think it's going to be more of the same. A lot of indecision what's happening here. I want to make a special shout out also for the Discord. We're doing a 50% off sale. I've seen a lot of comments from people down below that want to get in, but I think it's a little bit pricey. First of all, if $50 is too much to join, I think you might just have a small account and it might not be for you. This is a group of, in my opinion, investors that are talking about the market, what we're trading specifically. It's not a get rich quick scheme, okay? That's not the point of this, right? If you think you're gonna come in and make $1,000 a day, then I recommend not joining personally, okay? This is for people who want to get better at trading, surround themselves with better traders, and overall get better every single day and trade with us live again. That's the point, is 50% off your first month, code NOV50. The link is down below. I'll see you in Discord. Now, we had some Fed members speaking on the day, and I'm just going to highlight some of their bullet points here. Again, these are all on Twitter if you want to check them out. I follow specific people regarding the Bloomberg terminal, and they just give you the best information and key bullet points to realize. Now, just for the sake of the video, we're going to just look over these. Now, Fed Collins has been breaking down. We had a lot of big Fed members speaking about where we're moving on the market, and this is important. So just stay with me because we're going to go somewhere. We're going to go back to the charts in a second. We must avoid doing too little and thus raising price expectations. Recent data has increased the upper bound of where I believe rates should be. And you've seen some of this tone from the bigger Fed members lately, okay? They said the possibility of a pivot is there, but also we can raise rates even higher, which is definitely terrifying. More data will help me get an opinion on terminal rate. And then this was the worst statement of all. 75 BPS remains on the table. 50 used to be considered a significant increase, and that's where we're at now. Some anime Raid Shadow Legends promotion. Do not download that because that's trash. Just free advertisement on my channel. Interest rate sensitive sectors have reacted to the Fed. Other areas have not. This right here is concerning because what they're talking about is, in my opinion, is specifically geared towards rent prices, right? Because if we look at the real estate market, homes, obviously the sales have gone down, the listings have gone down, right? It's happened, but prices of homes aren't dropping drastically, which is what you should be seeing. Why? And this is all because, in my opinion, totally my opinion, based on what's happening with rents, because rents are going up. So you're still able to keep this valuation of your house because it can be used as an income source, right? Because it justifies this, right? That's the big issue. Fed Collins, I don't see any clear evidence that inflation is decreasing. So this is Fed Collins free. That was the big stuff I want to talk about there. So Fed pivot, etc. What have we been talking about? Where are we going? I want to talk about my opinion on this before we go too far into the video and as we look at this. I believe we're showing a downtrend. You can see the Nasdaq clearly still in a downtrend. This is the weekly time frame. I believe ES paints a better picture because the Nasdaq is just so weak. ES clearly still in this downtrend, and it's like they call it an expanding megaphone. I kind of can't believe what these people call these patterns nowadays. It's really crazy. I believe we're just coming up with newer and newer things. But anyways, this is like your pattern, and it's pretty terrible if you really look at it. And honestly, I will never call anything an expanding megaphone. That's the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life. But this is kind of what's happening here on specifically with the ES and NQ. It's expanding the range, lower lows, lower highs. This is the worst type of chart you could be looking at. Now, people are asking, well, where do you get bullish? Where's their hope? Where's the bottom, etc. Now, I've gone over my opinion on the Fed pivot. I'm going to give you that to you really in depth here in a second. But as you look at where you're moving and how you're moving here, I think you have to be concerned. You're slowing down as we get up here, and Nasdaq is doing what it did before. It's still very weak in relativity to what's happening with ES and the S&P futures. So tech being this weak still shows me a lot of concern, and I believe this could be pretty detrimental. A big thing that I'm going to watch here, because 8 to 9% of the S&P derives right from Apple. This is one of the biggest charts I want to be watching over the next few weeks because Apple has made higher lows essentially since 2020. I mean, really going on beyond that, but this is your trend kind of bucking right here. You're making lower highs, and this is the problem, if you will, right now. If Apple gets below this, I think this could really show weakness on the S&P because Apple's been that one dog in this race that's held up. It's really held its own in comparison to the rest of the broad market. I mean, if just saying where you are right now, if you look at where it's at compared to pre-COVID, this is pre-COVID highs, Apple is still way up there. Essentially no pullback in comparison to everything else. We can look at Nvidia and the chip sector. Boom, you almost got down there. You came really close. You can look at something like the Dow in general. The Dow, where is it pulled back to? It's already pulled back to COVID lows or COVID highs. So that's the concern here for myself is where are we at and what's holding us up? And in my opinion, Apple's one of those big stocks really holding the SPY where it's at. And I think if Apple loses it, it could be detrimental for the entire economy. But let's really start diving a little bit deeper. As we look at this, you have to just be concerned. And for anyone out there, if you're looking to where the quote unquote we turn to a bull run, if you will, if you break above 1350, I'd be a bull. But that's not happening on NQ, and I just don't see it happening anytime soon. I want to break down SPY and Qs going into next week. The biggest factor here on SPY, if we go to a shorter time frame, it's really, really simple. And I also want to highlight this obvious trend you're in. You're hitting the peak of this trend once again. You're in this zone, just highlighting, and you have a little bit more upside potentially, but food for thought there. I want to come quick into about the 2-hour chart. People keep asking me, where is the resistance? Where's the key level? It's really quite simple. 395 is that guy. It's that level. You continue to test it. You continue to break, retest, up and down, up and down. You can see you try to hold it here. Wicks, buyers holding you up. End of the day, you push up. If we look at liquidity also, you can see once again, buyers showing up underneath 395 to push you back above, making logical sense. This continues to be the cycle, right? And that's why I believe over the next few days and weeks, if you look at volume happening on the right-hand side, you're going to see this decrease continue. It's going to slow down. 75 million. The average volume on SPY over the past 30 days is almost 100 million. And you're coming in 25% lower than that, 30% on some days, for the past 3 days. That's concerning. You almost had a day right there on the 15th, but besides that, it was nothing, right? That's the concern for me because you're seeing this slowdown in volume. And I believe as you're holding this level, I think if volume steps back in, it can be dangerous, especially with what's being said by the Fed. So we have to take all these into consideration. Now, I want to look at some DXY because I believe we're seeing some artillery, if you will, for the bears. If we look here at like something like the 4-hour, let's just take a quick, for instance. I have mentioned that I'm not too excited about the DXY. I'm not watching it as much based on where you're at right now. But I want to give you just a viewpoint. If you look at the DXY, you have been above your 200 moving average on the daily time frame since essentially June 2021. Before that, you chopped around it, yada, yada, yada. And yeah, it just wasn't that real big. But so far, you're getting your retest here. This is very important in my opinion, and it's significant into where you're bouncing here. If you start to get back above the 109 level, I would be extremely concerned for the market. One, I think short term, 107.5 to 108 is a big level. I'd be watching there. And it's looking like you want to break back up, getting a little bit of an ascending triangle kind of forming out here. If you want to see that real quick, you can see obviously making higher lows. You have your resistance here also. Really, really simple to see. You want to see our breakout back above this, and it looks like it's going to happen. So I just want to highlight here, if DXY starts popping up really rapidly, you could see easily the market getting hit. I also want to highlight DXY taking this hit. Now you're coming back into the area of why isn't SPY running more and taking advantage of this opportunity? That's concerning to me here. Not so much where DXY is and DXY going up, because DXY was going up on the day, but you still saw SPY kind of pivot back and forth, right? So I think it's less influential in the short term. This is more of a longer term indicator. So if we start seeing DXY break up, I'm going to be really concerned, right? So right now, I'm back at square one to where I was when I was extremely bearish before the Fed meeting, okay? Why? Really quick, I want to just show you where you're at in comparison. If we look at the SPY chart, SPY is above key levels. Basically, before the Fed meeting, SPY hit 390, and it was already leading the pack. Dow and SPY were leading tech by a landslide. Right now, you kind of have this like little bull flag, kind of trying to break out of it. You're pretty high up here, $395, $400 level on SPY. Qs, in comparison, are back below before where you were on the Fed meeting. Remember, this is where I went short, around the 284, 282 level. And you're back in that range. You flip this SR and you're back below it. That is extremely concerning for me. Extremely. Tech falling back into this little slump is not looking good, right? Because you're being held up by some SPY stuff in primarily Dow with RTX, LMT, Boeing. Those are the safer names right now if you want to go long. Those are names I'm looking at for the long haul to the upside for any type of hedge to the downside. But if you're looking at this, it's more of the same of what we were seeing. And I think you're falling back into this where we could start seeing some potential downside, okay? But I want to highlight, I'm not looking for the downside specifically on indexes immediately, right? You still need to get PCE data and you still need to have that December Fed meeting. But if we don't see a change in tone from the Fed, it's going to be concerning for me. If PCE comes out good, I think we see a little bit of a change of tone. That's me personally. I think we have a little bit more upside, a quote unquote Santa rally, if you will, going into the beginning of the year, and then January we'd start seeing some slippage, right? So that's what I'm looking at right now. That's my opinion. Just an overall viewpoint of this is a little bit dangerous. Now, Sunday night, I'm going to go over a viewpoint for the next week and shorter term data like that, so everyone knows what trades I'm liking, etc. But right now, that's what I'm looking at. If I'm getting concerned again. I told everyone I'm not looking at shorts unless we're under 395 on SPY, but I'm looking at shorts now because Qs are doing the same thing. They're showing weakness while SPY continues to kind of pivot, go back and forth, and show somewhat strength, but not too much, right? That's my opinion here. That's what I'm looking at. That's the big concerns. Now, I do want to tell you about a trade I got in today. And I know people are going to say, Tyler, I think you're late to the party. I think you're this. I think you're that. And I guess what, guys? I just post my trades here. I tell y'all what I do. I'm transparent. I try to always help y'all out. But I got to highlight one thing for you. I don't care what y'all's opinion on my trades are. I really don't. What I care about is how much money I'm making, okay? Again, I just try to be transparent, show y'all what I'm doing. The end. That's it. So when you get in here, let's highlight where we're at and ultimately what I think is going to happen here. In my opinion, I believe Coinbase is going to lose the $40 level. I think it's going to happen pretty soon, and I am preparing for it. We saw weakness even with upside on the market throughout some parts of the day. I believe Coinbase, and I am positioning myself for a break of the $40 level, and I think this thing is going to come down towards 30, maybe even 20, 25. I believe it's just getting started. I want to show you a quick clip, really quick, and I know this guy is extremely, he's an extreme bear on crypto, right? So it's a little bit biased, but I want you to just take it with a grain of salt, do your DD for yourself, but I think he's onto something in the short term specifically. Let's listen in.
Concealed, corrupt, crooks, criminals, conmen, carnival barkers, and finally CZ. Was just on the stage right now. I was supposed to debate him a year ago here in the UAE. At the last moment, he decided to escape. He didn't want to be on the same stage as me. Guess what? 2 years before, I debated Arthur Hayes, CEO of BitMEX, and a week later, he was indicted and ended up in jail because I wrote he was a crook. At your seat, who was supposed to be here just today, Kevin Leary was a paid hack for FTX. Good reasons. I hope that CNBC is going to get rid of him. Unfortunately, this is an ecosystem that is totally corrupt. Unfortunately, it is, and I think the lesson of the last few weeks is these people should be out of here. I can't believe that CZ and Binance has a license to operate in the UAE. He's banned in the UK. He's under investigation by the US Justice Department for money laundering, $8 billion of money from Iran. And he's here on this stage, and he has residence in this country. The regulator should be thinking carefully. That's a walking time bomb.
So again, I just want you to take it. You do what you want to do. But I believe crypto is just getting started in the short term for the downside. You know my opinion. And I think this is an area that has potential for some real volatility in the short term for the downside, okay? Crypto, if we look at the charts, 4 hour, and again, I'm not a big crypto guy. I don't talk about it too much here. I do have a plan for my long term with crypto. I plan on getting in some positions here, taking an opportunity. But I believe you're preparing for a nasty downside slip. And if you look at crypto, first of all, Coinbase follows crypto. So if crypto starts dropping, Coinbase 100% will. I'm just saying, you don't have any support until 12.5, 13,000. I've been calling for 14, 13,000 for months, and I believe we are coming to that time. And crypto specifically right now is weak. Keep your eyes open for Binance, Coinbase, and everyone in between, because I believe a lot of people now are going to start getting hit specifically in this sector. So again, Coinbase, crypto, I believe those are going to be taking a hit. If you remember my previous week's videos, Mara was on the watch list. Remember, I told y'all, I said, this thing's probably going to break below the key level down here you had at roughly $9. Guess what? $7.50 now. We've already seen companies like, these are mining companies, so you know, they're already breaking all their key levels. They broke below $5 on Riot. You came down, retested, boom, hit again. Crypto is hurting. And if you look at Coinbase, I'm just saying, you might be able to get the retest, do whatever you want. I don't know. But this thing breaks at $40, it's going to get ugly, ugly, ugly. When we broke a similar support last time, a very similar 112, you saw immediate downside to $50. Before that type of drop, going here, the 162 range, you saw a few fake breaks, right? Once that broke, we broke around the 160 level. You had an almost drop for 3 months to the downside, 2-3 months, just boom, collapsing. So take what you want, do your own DD. I'll see you on Sunday night. And tomorrow I will be live here on the channel, answer your questions around noon Central Time. So make sure you tune in, doing some giveaways also. Have a good one.